So tell me about how it's looked down here since you've been down here.
Well, I mean, it's heartbreaking, to be honest with you. I mean, because this is people's property, their home,
Right.
Their livelihood, and pictures do not do it words. I mean,
Right.
I've seen it on TV, and I mean, we're standing in a spot right now where you can't even see an area that's not destroyed.
Right.
And I mean, it tells me that the state's going to need to jump in and going to need to help, and so. That's why I formed an interim committee yesterday that Shane Schuler is going to be in charge of, and Bill White, who this is his district, is the vice chair.
Right.
And they're going to try and identify what this community needs, along with communities in southeast Missouri with the flooding, and potentially around the Missouri River with the flooding, and see if the state can jump in and help and provide a helping hand, and whether it be elimination of some red tape and some regulations, and just do anything we can to help these families.
Right. Is there going to be, I mean, how much of a financial obligation do you think this is going to be for this area?
I don't know. I mean, but that's part of the task, is to identify. I mean, look, all these families in these homes were paying property tax that were helping fund the local school.
Right.
And they're no longer here.
Right.
So the school's going to have a shortfall, and so we need to look and I think Missourians are giving group of people, and I think the taxpayers in my area would understand that some of their tax dollars would need to be spent down here to help Joplin rebuild.
Right.
And but the task of that committee is to identify what the needs are and figure out how we as a state can help.
Right. What do you make of the school saying they're going to start on time this year?
I think it's pretty amazing,
right.
And but the way the people of Joplin have responded in this, that wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
And but I know they're going to have some challenges, and as the Speaker of the House, we want them to know that we're going to be here every step of the way to try and help.
Right. Is this going to require like a special session? I know the governor indicated that he's probably not looking at one right now.
Well, no, but it depends on I don't think we should rush and do something without really knowing what we're doing.
Right.
And my hope is this committee does a thorough job and gives us the information that we need to make informed decisions and pass something meaningful.
Right.
And so if we get that information by the end of July, then maybe it's something we can look at for veto session, special session and concurrent with veto session. But we certainly don't want to just come in haphazardly. We want to have all the facts and do our best to do it right the first time.
Right. The newsleader did a piece a couple days ago on how Facebook was a big player in finding everybody and finding people, and then it was even a player in finding students. But you guys passed that legislation that would ban their communication over Facebook. Is that something you guys might are regretting at this point? I hate to inject politics, but I mean that's a legitimate policy question. About how Facebook was used from teachers to find students during this last couple of weeks when they counted for everybody, but that wouldn't be necessarily allowed under the new rule, under the new law.
Under which law?
The education bill passed by Jane Cunningham that would affect how they can.
You mean out of the Senate, or did it pass both bodies?
Passed both. It said to the governor.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that specific provision in it.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I clearly think Facebook in many ways can be helpful, but you also understand it can be harmful in many ways too.
Right.
And I think there are instances where you've seen where Facebook has been used to help solve a crime or catch a convict. But I certainly think here's a perfect example.
Right.
There are car wrecks where if you have a seatbelt on, it can kill you.
Right.
But we still think overall wearing seatbelts saves lives.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, maybe the overall belief was that it was in the best interest.
Right. What do you whenever you go home to Perry, whenever you get back there? What do you tell your constituents about this area? I mean, you can't show them pictures because it describe it.
But unfortunately, my area has dealt with not to this magnitude, but we had a tornado not long ago that wiped out a small town not far from where I live.
Right.
My personal, my wife is from Crothersville, and Crothersville was a third of that town was wiped out in a tornado not long ago either, including my mother and father-in-law's house was leveled about like these houses here.
Right.
And so, I can feel for the families and just tell them that, Joplin has had a tremendous disaster, but they're going to rebuild. They're going to come back stronger than ever.
Right.
And if we need to, the state needs to be there to help facilitate that.
Okay. That's all I got for you. Thank you.